Can we bring it back to the sectors? Because tech investors clearly, and we were talking to a guest about this earlier, need to keep their eye on the long game amid this short-term volatility. I'm just wondering whether that logic applies to the Chinese internet names that have been beaten up quite badly because of the regulations, etc. Does a value opportunity lie there in China?
Well, I think we have to be a little bit more cautious on the Chinese internet sector. While in the US, there's clearly still very strong growth prospects for tech companies. In China, as you rightly mentioned, the regulation has been a challenge in the last 12 months. But I think the good news is last year was regulation framework being reestablished. This year is more about implementation and enforcement. We've already also seen quite a few of these tech companies readjusting their business models, focusing a bit more on cost management and operational leverage. And that means they're still obviously trying to protect their earnings, but instead of growing at a very rapid pace on the top line, I think they are trying to control their costs a little better. So I think 2022 is a year of adjustment for many of these companies. I do expect things to start to improve in 2023. So I still think that Chinese tech is still, you're correct, it's a long game, but I think this year will still be a year of adjustment where investors have to pick out the companies who are better at coming through with those adjustments.
Tai, have you got a line on India and Indonesia? Because they were once classed as two of the fragile five and very vulnerable to a higher rates environment, higher yields environment, higher dollar environment. Is it a different story this time round? And is there more resilience there? Because there is a perception that these are now favoured stock markets in terms of the post-pandemic recovery. How do you approach India and Indonesia?
Well, I think with India, well, first of all, both economies have come through a long way compared to the fragile five status that we saw 5-10 years ago. If you look at their current account position, if you look at their foreign exchange reserve position, they are in a more resilient place. That said, I think the stronger dollar, I think, will still put some pressure on these currencies, but not at the same extent that we've seen in the recent past. I do prefer Indonesia at the moment because India have had a very strong run in 2021 and also for the better part of 2022. And meanwhile, Indonesia has been somewhat left behind because of, again, the COVID situation and the fact that domestic demand is yet really to accelerate. So I think from that perspective, the domestic demand and also the current bout of commodity price, elevated commodity prices should benefit Indonesia a little bit more. For India, it is a commodity importer, especially when it comes to energy and fuel. And while obviously it's trying to get a good bargain from Russia, I think that continues to be an area to focus. So, when we do get high inflation, these two economies could see some challenges. But overall, I think the fundamentals now is very much stronger than compared to 5-10 years ago.